Welcome to Maxlvledc EDC in Venice, Italy. Now, to make this trip, I took everything carry-on, meaning I went directly onto the plane, which did limit me on what I could actually take. But people had a lot of questions about the custom tools that I had, so I figured we'd go ahead and talk about it. Now, I guess the best way to start is to talk about the beginning of the trip. So I'm taking everything with me on the plane, so carry-on only. And it worked out pretty well. Now, I planned on taking 3 different multi-tools and a dedicated tool as well, just to see what would happen through TSA, both there and back. So I had a custom 91mm Victorinox that was like a super tinker with a blade delete. I also have this custom Nextool Mini Sailor, as well as the Jetsetter that are all on my keychain. And part of it is investigatory, but I also think that a lot of these should make it, or likely make it on the way back as well, except the Victorinox 91mm that I made. Now, because I knew it likely wouldn't make it, I was looking for an opportunity to give that tool to someone here in Italy, and thankfully I ran into Giovanni. Now, this shop here in Venice, which I will show a picture of their card and where you can find this shop, Giovanni was really sweet and actually traded with me. I was planning on buying it, but he said, no, here, I'll trade this for you. And this is just a simple 2-layer soldier, I believe, or recruit. I always forget the name of the 91mm 2-layer Swiss Army knife, which is a perfect complement with the scissors to the Jetsetter that I have on my keychain. Now, this is important. Having a blade for me is important while I'm here, because I'm going to buy a lot of things to take with me versus sitting down and eating at restaurants all the time. So I bought some fruit, I brought some salami, and I'll be taking those with me, and they're a great way to not have to sit down and actually go to a restaurant all the time, especially for breakfast, which we'll go and get coffee, but not necessarily want to sit and eat everything at the same time. So this was important. Before I leave, I'm going to find someone in Rome to give this to as well. So I knew this is just for the trip. Now, the tool that I would love to have shown you, Giovanni has it, so I will put some pictures up there that you can kind of see what it looked like. And I'll probably make another one in the future. I think it's a really cool little tool. I'm just thankful that someone who appreciates it is going to be able to get some use out of it. So that's exciting. And yeah, definitely stop in their shop if you're ever in Venice. Really cool place. Now, the other thing I want to show is probably the Nextool and this just keychain setup in general. As I said in past videos, my favorite travel flashlight is the Baton series. And that's because they come with a charging case that makes it very convenient. If I don't have time to charge, I have the case. What I didn't expect is that even on the very first day, especially when we were traveling more than 20 hours combined between trains and cars and boats, I didn't expect to need this right away. But the charging case being a power bank as well, oh my goodness, that saved my bacon, because I got down to about 15% when all was said and done towards the end of the day. And by the time we got to the hotel, in my pocket, in my vest, I had this charging my phone, and it was back up to 100%. Now, this was down to, I think, 7% when that happened, but the fact that I was able to charge my phone on the go, and it did so quickly, is amazing. And this is the S23 Ultra. It's about as big a battery as you can find. So I have this, again, absolutely essential. I will be traveling with this from now on. And I keep 2 different flashlights. So I have the Baton 4, as well as the Perrin Mini 2. And this is nice to have as the secondary flashlight, because if I'm using it to read, if I don't have a night light wherever I am, I can actually turn this on and actually get me some light as well. So it's a nice way to be able to read at nighttime, and you don't have to lay it on its side or anything complicated. It also has red light. And on the plane, because it's a overnight flight, I actually used the red light, and it was perfect. It was actually really useful, and it didn't bother anyone around me. So honestly, the lighting situation was flawless, and I've used the flashlight every single day. The hallways sometimes are very, very dark in Venice, and it's a good thing to have, especially if your vision isn't great. And mine isn't, great. So that was great. And then the key organizer. I have what they call a O-link, which is what I was using right here at the top, and this connects directly to the flashlight and sits in my pocket like so. And because we are, staying in a place that has a set of keys, this was perfect, because I could dangle the whole thing in my pocket and I was ready to rock and roll. And when I need the flashlight, I just pull it off, ready to rock. So this was perfect. This is exactly what I should take. And just a simple G-Clip from Nite Ize is basically what we have everything on. Now, let's talk about these tools. So the Nextool Mini Sailor is an inexpensive plier-based multi-tool that only weighs about 3 ounces. But the thing is, they don't have a version that could get through TSA, so I combined some of the features from the scissor version with the one with the pliers and removed the blade to instead put in a file. Now, this is not a great file, I'll tell you right now. This would not be ideal if I was to make one from scratch. What I would probably do instead in the future is simply take the original tool and delete the blade/can opener section, and I would keep the Phillips flathead along with the scissors on the opposite side. So basically thinning it out, making it lighter, and also making it completely bladeless. That's how I'd probably do this in the future. But the nice thing is it's a small pair of pliers, and I think there's a good chance this will make it home. I think that the guys at TSA in Italy, in Rome, may be okay with this. I think I'm more going to have an issue with the dedicated pair of pliers that I decided to take. Now, this is a 4-inch Vicegrip that I figured would be a good complement if I needed to work on something. And not everyone needs this, okay? I purely, for my own kind of consideration, I wanted to see if these would make it back home. Obviously, this will not, but I'm hoping this will not cause any issues on the way back, but it may. We'll see. And if it was, I didn't want to take something expensive, so like $12, it's a good plier to have. And the clamping capability has other applications that might be useful kind of on a trip. It's weird what I end up using these things for, but I do find a use for them regularly. So I have this as well. Now, I did actually trade out the screw for this red one from a Milwaukee 4-inch Vicegrip, which is not as good as the one made by Irwin. And I kind of regret it now because I don't want to lose this screw. So before TSA going on the way back, I'll probably take this screw out and save it, because this is more valuable than the whole tool entirely, because I had to buy something separate just to get it possible. But the reason is so that if it's tight like this, I can actually attach a lanyard to it so I could have it in my pocket and make it easy to access. That was the whole point. Okay, something I want to say. Every single item that we talked about, whether it was this Nextool, the Jetsetter, or the pliers, they all made it through in Rome. So that's really neat. And they actually inspected each and every implement on these tools. No problem. So that was great. I'm glad that they all go through. I hope Nextool will start making a bladeless multi-tool in the near future. Now, that was like the actual tool stuff. But I want to talk briefly about wallets. I thought quite hard how I would do it so I could enjoy my trip without having to worry about losing something. And so what I've done is I have a 2-wallet setup. So inside my vest is where I keep the important stuff, driver's license, some of the checking cards, some other credit cards, and so on. And that goes in this ARC large XL Boulder wallet. This thing is fantastic. In fact, I was happy to find that it was able to store euros as well as American cash. So whether I was in the airport or otherwise, I was ready to rock and roll. So this stays inside the vest pocket right here, and that gets zippered up. So I'm not super worried about this one having an issue. On the outside though, on my outer jacket, I keep this. Now this is a really cool wallet, and this is from Reform. And I knew that a lot of times euros come in coin form. So I wanted something that had a coin pouch that would hold coins as well, in addition to cash. So I have that, and then I have euros stored in here when I need them. So they just get stuck in here. I actually need to replenish it because I've gone through the 50 euros that I had over the last couple of days. But then basically the only other things that are in here are a single credit card, as well as the Vaporetto or the transit cards. So you can buy it for a certain period of time. We did 2 72-hour cards. And so we have those as well in here. Now, something I'm not going to show you, but we have all the information for this card, both in the luggage as well as in this other wallet. So for whatever reason this gets taken or stolen, within minutes, I can be on the phone with my bank closing that card. That's sort of a basic essential thing, so I don't have to worry about it. There's no ID in here. All of the passports and so on are kept in my vest pocket on the inside, on the opposite side. And that's how I've been doing it. And I think we're going to be okay going to Italy, going to Rome from Venice. Loud birds. Now, the last thing that it's worth talking about is watch. I ended up bringing the, I can't remember the exact name, I'll put it right here. But this is one of my favorite inexpensive watches from Casio. I really wanted to bring my Japanese imported Casio, which is titanium, but I've been told by literally everyone, including people who lived in Rome for years, not to bring anything with you that you really love. So I didn't. So I instead wanted this, this cheap watch. Lose it, it's not the end of the world. But the fact that I can set up world time, I can know what time it is in Virginia as well as also here, and I can do it at a glance. I kind of like the analog digital combination. It has a bunch of alarms. It's got everything I need. So it's a perfect watch. It's also solar powered, which doesn't really matter for this trip. Most Casios have at least a 10-year battery life, but a Casio is a great watch to take with you if you're traveling, especially somewhere like Rome, which then you don't have to worry about it. And that's kind of the general gist of this entire EDC. I don't have to worry too much about anything except what is inside the vest. And the vest is zippered up with the pockets on the inside, and then a coat goes over top. There really isn't much to worry about. And we're not carrying any backpacks outside of the one we carry if we're buying groceries. So I have a small, packable backpack from Osprey, which we'll talk about in a separate video. I'll talk about the rest of the gear. But today I just wanted to talk about what I was actually carrying in my pockets and what I'll keep carrying for the rest of the trip. It's worked basically perfect so far. I haven't carried this with me. This has stayed in my bag. But everything else that we've talked about has basically been with me, including the charging case for the Baton 4. That thing is, yeah, it's awesome. And the flashlight is absolutely an essential thing. You absolutely need one if you're going to be walking around Venice at night. Many of the alleys are dark. They're not that they're scary, they're just really dark. So you're definitely going to have something that you can use to light things up. And I don't think a phone is going to be very successful for you. It's best to have a small flashlight. You don't need a lot of light. Anything up to 200 lumens is going to be more than enough. If you're worried about security, that's something that I kind of have built in with the Baton 4. 1300 lumens is a lot of light. And if you triple press, you can get quick access to strobe if you need. I don't foresee that being an issue, especially if you're smart about where you go, but it's still a consideration for some people. And having a small light like this, you're never going to have to worry about it through TSA, and you have that option as well. I hope this is informative, that shows you some things, and definitely when you get a chance to go to Venice, check out some of these awesome shops. It's really, really sweet people, and definitely some cool things. Man, they had some nice stuff. In fact, I think they have been to Blade Show, or at least a couple years ago, and picked up some really nice stuff to bring to Italy in that shop. So definitely worth checking out. Anyway, as always, thank you for your time. We'll talk again soon.